are starting with Mensuration Class 8 NCERT. What is mensuration? Mensuration deals with all mathematical calculations related to perimeter, area and volume of different two-dimensional and three-dimensional figures. हमने mensuration last year भी पढ़ा है. कौन-कौन सी definitions मालूम है? Perimeter. Perimeter क्या है? Boundary. Any area which has a boundary and we need to calculate its boundary, we talk about its perimeter. Perimeter की unit centimeter, meter, kilometer, because boundary is always length. कहाँ use होता है perimeter? Suppose you have a piece of land. You want to make boundary for that land. Now, boundary means the side fencing, and you know the length, you know the breadth, you can easily make the fencing of any field. So, in that case, you need to know the perimeter of figure. Area. Area की unit हम कहते हैं centimeter square, meter square, kilometer square. That is unit square. Because area always deal with the space occupied by any object. Imagine you put a table on a floor. This table occupies certain area, certain space on the floor. That is concerned with the area. Now we talk about volume. Volume will be studied in class 8. पहले पुराना कुछ रिवाइज करते हैं. पुरानी जितनी भी टर्म्स known हैं उनसे रिलेटेड फॉर्मूलाज की बात करें. कौन-कौन सी शेप्स आपने पहले पढ़ी? स्क्वायर. Square is a four-dimensional closed figure with length, 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 length. That means all the sides of the square are equal. That means when you talk about the perimeter, you are adding all the four sides. So we say side multiplied by 4. And the formula for perimeter becomes 4 multiplied side. Now, how much area this particular square is occupying? That means this space has to be calculated by multiplying its length and breadth. Here both length and breadth are equal. So we say that area of a square is side multiplied by side. Now we come to next figure. This is rectangle. We have started square, now we talk about rectangle. Rectangle has length and breadth. Yes, it is four-sided closed figure with different dimensions, but the opposite sides are equal. This is length, this is also length. This is breadth of the rectangle. Now see, you are calculating the perimeter. Perimeter means, I told you earlier, boundary. Let's see how this formula is formed. Length plus breadth plus length plus breadth. So that means length is coming 2 times, breadth is also coming 2 times. So 2 times of length and breadth added makes the perimeter of rectangle. Now how much space this rectangle is occupying? That means how many squares it is forming when it is placed on the piece of land. So length multiplied by breadth. This much squares are occupied. That's why the formula for area of rectangle becomes length multiplied breadth. Take another figure. We have a triangle. What is a triangle? Closed figure with 3 sides. You know, triangles can be equilateral. Equilateral triangle में तीनों sides Now when you talk about the triangle, in general we write that sum of all three sides makes the perimeter of the triangle. And individually, when you talk about the area of the triangle, the formula is root 3 upon 4. I will be teaching you later how these formulas are formed. Root 3 upon 4 multiply sine square is the area of equilateral triangle. When you talk about right angle triangle, it is half multiply base multiply height. Then we come at circle. Circle has a perimeter of 2 pi r. And when you calculate the area, it is pi r square. What's r here? R stands for radius. And the value of pi is 22 upon 7. Take next figure, children. It is parallelogram. Parallelogram is again four-sided figure with certain base and certain altitude. This altitude is called height and this is base. That means when you are talking about the area of parallelogram, we write base multiply height, and of course about the perimeter, it is the sum of all the four sides. Next figure we have is trapezium. See how trapezium is formed. One pair of lines parallel and unequal, so another pair of lines are not equal. How many sides do we have here? Yes, it's four-sided figure. So its perimeter is again sum of four sides. But when you talk about area of trapezium, it is half multiply sum of these parallel sides, which we call S1 and S2, and then we have H as a height. So we stop here. Now we will discuss what type of questions are we going to deal with these questions. See, first thing is we have a piece of land, and this piece of land has to be fenced with some boundary. See, this is the boundary we are making with a piece of land. Now what are we talking about? We are talking about the four sides of the land. That means in such case we talk about perimeter of this piece of land. This is not always land. Suppose we have a tablecloth. We want to make lace around it. Now lace is not going to cover the whole area of this tablecloth. We are talking about the boundary of the tablecloth. So we are dealing with the perimeter. So such questions we need to know what is the shape. Is it a square? Is it a rectangle? Or some other figure? It can be some triangular shape. It can be a circular piece of tablecloth also. So we, in circular shape, we talk about the perimeter, and there is a special term, circumference. Circumference is the term used for the perimeter of any circle. तो बेटा हमारे पास जिस कैटेगरी के क्वेश्चंस आएंगे, हमें सबसे पहले ये एनालाइज करना है कि क्या हम उसकी बाउंड्री की बात कर रहे हैं, एक लैंड है, उसके साइड में चार दीवारें बना रहे हैं, तो हम उसकी बाउंड्री में दीवार बना रहे हैं ना, तो इसका मतलब हम उसके पैरामीटर की बात कर रहे हैं। अब आगे चलते हैं। एक पीस ऑफ लैंड है, उस लैंड के कुछ पोर्शन पर हमने ग्रीनरी बनानी है और कुछ पोर्शन पर हमें अपना हाउस कंस्ट्रक्ट करना है। Let's say this is a piece of land and in the center we want to make house. Remaining part of the land is to be made green. This greenery land is given to some of the gardener, and gardener is going to cover this at certain rate. अब ये पता लगाना है, अगर गार्डनर ने हमें बोला कि वो 50 रुपीज पर स्क्वायर मीटर के हिसाब से आपके लैंड को ग्रीन करेगा, वहाँ पे गार्डनिंग करेगा, तो वो कितना लैंड है? दैट मीन्स दिस टोटल लैंड minus the land which you are covering as a house. So basically you need to subtract the smaller land जो आप house के लिए use कर रहे हैं from the total land and you will come to know how much land gardener is going to make green. This is another type of questions you will be dealing with. Now take another example. We have a garden. In this garden, you have to make some pathways. Pathway can be like this. Sometimes pathways are on the outer border of the garden. So in both the cases, you are talking about area. This area is covered as a pathway. क्या करने वाले हैं हम? पाथवे पता लगाना है, तो बेसिकली दिस इज द विड्थ ऑफ द प्लॉट एंड दिस इज द विड्थ ऑफ द पाथवे. तो हमने विड्थ ऑफ द प्लॉट को पाथवे की विड्थ से मल्टीप्लाई किया, हमें ये वाला एरिया मिल गया. कम लुक एट दिस पाथवे. In this pathway you are dealing with length of the land along with the width of the pathway. So we get this area. Now basically what we do is we add this area and this area to know the pathway. But could you see that this is the common area coming in both the pathways? That means we are going to subtract this square part of the land to know actual exact amount of land used for the pathway. Look at this figure now. Here your length of the land is L and the breadth of the land is V. Now suppose you have X meters width of the pathway all around. So what will be the actual length of the land left? This is the land left. This land left minus x minus x. तो suppose हमारी land की measurement 15 meters. It is the length and say for example you have 10 meter breadth of the land and your pathway is of 2 meter. So the inner length of the land will be 15 minus 2 and minus 2. These minus 2 are from both the sides. So the length of the land becomes 11 meter and the breadth of the land becomes again 10 minus 2 minus 2. That becomes the inner part of the land which we were not knowing. Once you come to know about the dimensions, it is easy to calculate by applying the formula length multiplied breadth, which is area of a rectangle. अब हम आते हैं अपनी एक्सरसाइज पर. स्टार्ट करते हैं आप अपनी एक्सरसाइज. So we begin with the exercise 11.1 question 1. A square and a rectangle field. We have two fields. First field is in form of square and another field is in form of rectangle with same measurements and with measurements given in the figure have same perimeter. What does the question says? Question says that the perimeter of both square and rectangle have same perimeter. Now see here, in this square the side is known. That means with this side we can find the perimeter. Now look carefully at the rectangle. Here only length is given. Breadth is unknown. Can we find the breadth? Yes. Because once we calculate the perimeter of the square, that perimeter is equal to the perimeter of this rectangle whose length is known. So first thing we'll be doing is with the perimeter of this square, which is equal to the perimeter of this rectangle, and the length of the rectangle, we can calculate the unknown thing, that is breadth. Now question says which field has larger area. So first, dealing with the perimeter, we will be finding the breadth, and then we find the areas of both square and rectangle and compare which has larger area. So let's begin. First thing, while writing the solution, we write down perimeter of square. What's the formula for perimeter for the square? I taught you earlier. It is 4 multiply side. So this is 4 multiply 60, that is 240 meters. Now we write down perimeter of rectangle. The formula is 2 times length plus breadth. Now further we know that perimeter of square and rectangle are equal. So we write as perimeter of square is equal to perimeter of rectangle. So 240 is equal to, put this formula, 2 multiply, what is the length? We write 80 here plus breadth. So what is unknown here? Breadth is unknown. First thing, you bring 240 upon 2, you bring 2 there, is equal to 80 plus breadth, or we can write breadth is equal to, what is 240 upon 2? That is 120 minus this 80 comes this side and the sign changes to negative. This was a positive sign, we have changed it to negative. So breadth becomes 40 meters. Now you have the breadth with you, you also have length of the rectangle with you. That means you are ready to find the area of the rectangle. So we proceed further by finding area of square is equal to side multiply side, that is 60 multiply 60. So this is 60 multiply 60. We write 3600 square units. Fine. Now next thing we have to calculate is area of rectangle. What's the formula? It is length multiply breadth. You know what was the length? It was 80 meter. We write 80 multiply. What was the breadth? That is 40. So it is 3200 meters square. Now compare the two values. This is the area of square, this is the area of rectangle, and we observe area of square is larger. Now we start with question number 2, exercise 11.1. Let's read the question first. Mrs. Kaushik has a square plot with the measurement as shown in figure. Look at the figure. This is a square plot and it has a dimension given 25 meter length and 25 meter breadth. She wants to construct a house in the middle of the plot. Now this land she wants to use to make her house. A garden is developed around the house. So this is the area used for house, and this remaining area, this part she will be using for developing a garden. Is it clear? Now find the total cost of developing a garden around the house at rate of rupees 55 per meter. So we will be dealing with the money later. First we need to know how much part of the land is to be used for developing a garden. Observe the figure. This is the total land. Out of this land, this part of house has to be removed. So remaining part becomes the garden. We solve like this. Area of plot, which is square in shape. So the formula applied is side multiply side. That is 25 multiply 25 comes out as 625 meters square. Now, area of land for house. This house is in the rectangular shape, 20 meter length, 15 meter breadth. So we are mentioning the area of the rectangle. We put the formula length multiply breadth. Length is 20 meter, breadth is 15 meter. It comes out as 300 meters square. Remember, don't forget to write the units. Now we come at area of garden. Area of garden will be the total plot area minus area used for making the house. That is, we write 625 minus 300. That's the area of the house. We get 325 meters square. But this area is to be converted into garden. Now, cost of conversion is given here. That is rupees 555 per meter square. So this is meter square area. We simply multiply this area with the rate, that is area of the garden, multiply rate, it becomes 325 multiply 55 and we get the answer rupees 17,875, which is the cost of developing the garden. I hope the question is clear. Now we come to next question.